Welcome to The Real Deal with Jason Silverman, the podcast dedicated to helping you build the business of your dreams and live the life you always hoped for, with valuable and fun tips and info to make your life easier and more fun. And now, here's your host, a man who sprinkles metal shavings on his breakfast cereal just for fun, Jason Silverman.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Real Deal with Jason Silverman. I'm your host, Jason Silverman, and I'm thrilled to share some time with you once again today. As you know, I'm always on the hunt for interesting as well as super smart real deal guests. And I got to tell you, today's show is a winner. I want to introduce my listeners to somebody who's truly been there and done that, and most importantly, has the ability to share his steps with others so that you can also follow in his footsteps. Now, as always, I'm excited to pick his brain for your benefit today. Now, for the folks who I work with in any of my coaching programs, mastermind groups, or through Powerful Words Character Development or All-Star Cheer sites, you know how much I focus on the importance of developing a proper entrepreneurial mindset, right? Well, this show is going to help us to do just that. So today it's going to be my honor and privilege to share an amazing resource with you. You're going to love today's guest. He's got a ton of valuable information about a super hot topic to help you succeed, as well as a fun way to deliver it. So I want you to strap yourself in. Today's show is going to be a blast. As I'm sure you already know, I'm committed to helping business owners like you to become more successful, enjoy your career more, and in general, make your life significantly more fun. Because let's face it, we only get one trip around this merry-go-round, so we want to make sure it's one hell of a ride. All right, boys and girls, it is now that time. I want you to stop surfing Facebook, put down your phone, your tablet, your dog, your cat, your child, your spouse, anything that might possibly distract you from today's show. You're about to get some great and immediately usable information, and I don't want you to miss even a second of it. So before we officially get going, I want to give you a little bit of background about our guest today. Dr. Gene Landrum is a high-tech startup executive turned educator and writer. As a businessman, he originated the Chuck E. Cheese concept of family entertainment, among other entrepreneurial ventures. After years of interacting with creative and overachieving personalities, he decided to document the inner workings of what made them tick and did his doctoral dissertation on the Jungian psychology of success. Dr. Gene lectures extensively on the vagaries of eminence and teaches MBAs at the Hodges University Graduate School in Southwest Florida. Robert Toth, a creative genius in sculpturing, wrote in 2010, "Dr. Landrum, you've been my inspiration from your first book, Profiles of Genius. Last night I stayed up all night reading The Superman Syndrome. Thank you for being my inspiration. My family thought I was weird, but you've validated my life calling." Author Lee Meltier, in an introduction in 2010, said, "Dr. Gene, your books have been the most inspiring of anything I've ever read. You're one of the true experts on entrepreneurship and one of the best thinkers of today." Wow. Folks, it is my honor and my pleasure to bring you Dr. Gene. Dr. Gene, welcome to The Real Deal. I'm thrilled to have you today.
Hey, Jason. Thank you very much. Boy, how do I follow that, dude? Gee whiz.
Well, you know,
anyway,
none of that happens by accident, right?
Well, and that is absolutely true. And you almost, the audience, you have to be willing to go where other people won't go. And follow your, I'm a fan of Joseph Campbell, follow your bliss. Do what, float your boat, if you will. And you just have to go. And people ask me, what are some of the things? And, remove your inhibitions. And it's okay to be different, and and find the herd and go someplace else. Don't go down the same road. People say, well, how do you, if you're doing what everybody else is doing, guess what? You're going to get what everybody else is getting. Don't do it, right?
Which for the most part is probably not a whole heck of a lot.
Yeah. Well, it's most people think and my mother was that way from the old school. You go to school, you get a pedigree, and then you sit at a desk somewhere, and someday somebody gives you a gold watch. Well, you know what? That's I have a story I tell about that because I was having done the Chuck E. Cheese thing. My mother, they asked her, well, what do you think of, what your son is doing? and she didn't get it. She thought, she said, well, honey, why don't you get a real job? When I was doing Chuck E. Cheese. Mom, I'm doing something unique and different. But she didn't get it. She didn't get me, because she thought I was being so uniquely different. Of course, you got to remember, she said this back when I first opened that first Chuck E. Cheese. I'll never forget the day, Jason. It was May 17th, 1977. And I opened that thing. And, I never know. And when you do things like that, you woke up that morning and say, God, what if nobody shows? What if nobody comes, right? Anyway.
Well, no, that's a big deal, and I'm sure so many of my listeners are saying the exact same thing. I mean, whether you open anything when you're dealing with people's kids, what if no one shows?
Yeah, exactly, and people will tell you. I don't know if you're aware. Back then, we were part of Atari, and I was the assistant to the chairman of Atari when I did that, opened that first store, and we were bought by Warner Brothers, a $16 billion company. And I'll never forget it as long as I live. The head of Warner, he's a Harvard guy, he was well educated and whatever, and he came in and he said, that Chuck E. Cheese costume you got, somebody told me you spent $5,000 for that costume. And he said, that is really stupid. Here's a Harvard guy, he's CEO. That is really a stupid idea. And what he didn't get, the first thing you do, Jason, of anything costs a lot of money. In the third store, you know what they cost me? $300. $300. And what if I listened to that idiot? I mean, and I got to tell you this other story since we're on this tack. I was a big time racquetball player back then. I was ranked in the United States in racquetball. I was very good. And the CEO of Holiday Inn was a racquetball player, and he invited me down to Memphis to see if we could do a deal. And I thought we had a real deal that we could have done with Holiday Inn. He was the CEO of Holiday Inn, and these Holiday Inn did a lot of food and stuff. And all we wanted to do was do games back then at Chuck E. Cheese. But I thought they could do the food and we could do the games. And I'll never forget as long as I live. We were eating afterwards, and I said, well, tell me, Mike, I'll never forget his name, Mike Rose. I said, Mike, what do you think of the concept here? And he took a sip of his drink, and he looked up and he said, Gene, let me tell you something. You know what? We kill rats in all of our food places, and you've got a rat delivering pizzas to parties. He said, what are you doing, man? And I couldn't resist, Jason. I told him? I said, yeah, and we have 3 times the revenues of the average pizza store in the United States. Back then, that average pizza store did about $300,000 a year. We were doing $1.3 million. Wow. At 23% pre-tax profits.
Wow.
And you know what? The little small stores, Baskin Robbins, they do about 23% profits, pre-tax profits. But big stores that do, like McDonald's, was doing about what $1.3 million. You know what McDonald's does, pre-tax profits? 5%, 6%, 7%.
Wow.
We were a home run. And people don't get it, Jason. I mean, they don't get it. They drive me crazy.
Well, it's interesting because you did something nobody else had done, right? It was definitely a gamble.
Oh, it was a big time gamble. No question about it. But you know what? And I tell people this for your listeners. If it's not dangerous, then don't do it. Don't go. I mean, because if it's too easy and then it's sure and it's without any chance of failure, well, you know what? The bigger the chance, I draw a risk reward curve on this. If you take few risks in life, you don't have very big chances of losses. And I do a curve on this. And if you take really big chances, and could you lose? Yeah, but you have really big potential wins. So where are you going to be on that curve? And I tell my students that. Look at this curve. Here's a curve. Where do you want to be on that curve? Most people, Jason, want to be in the middle or lower on that curve. They want to be down there where there's very little or much less chance of failure. And you know what? And I've my whole life, Jason, I've lived right up there on the edge. I don't know if you're aware of it in your listeners, but I I've probably won 100 tennis tournaments. I was once ranked third in the United States in racquetball. I was the California champion in racquetball. You know why? I was on the edge. I would do what other people wouldn't do. And you got to do business the same way. And if you want, then most people aren't willing to go there, Jason. They just aren't willing.
How do you get somebody to start even getting into the mindset of living on the edge? I mean, I've got, understand this. So I've got folks who, maybe this is their first entrepreneurial endeavor, or maybe they've done this stuff before. How do you get them thinking? I mean, I understand this. I've run my own businesses now for close to 18 years. I get the whole concept of the edge. Where would you start somebody?
Well, I don't know. I like to use quotes. I like to quote other people, and I have a very philosophic nature. I guess if I had my lecture over, I'd probably be a philosopher. But I quote a guy named Arthur Schopenhauer. This was 150 years ago. And I found this, and it's really what it answers your question, Jason, what you were just saying. And he said, all truth passes through three stages. First it is ridiculed, then it is violently opposed, and finally it is accepted as self-evident. And that is so profound. He said at first they're going to say, your parents, your mates, everybody will tell you you're nuts. And then finally they'll oppose you. And then finally they say, because the people at the early stages that thought I was nuts, so all the bankers at Chuck E. Cheese, then they came in and said, oh my God, look what you did. This is pretty good. But at first it was too dangerous. They ain't going there, right?
Mm-hmm. Of course not.
They're not playing. They're not going to play the game. Okay? So, and I write about entrepreneurial whiz. I don't know if you're aware of it. I was very fortunate. I spent 20 years in Silicon Valley, and people ask me, what is it that made you? And well, I got out of school, my master's degree, and I went to Silicon Valley, and I was very fortunate. I knew Bob Noyce, who started Intel. Mm-hmm. I had lunch with Bill Hewlett of Hewlett Packard. I worked with Bushnell, the guy who invented Pong and games, and I knew Larry Ellison at Oracle, and I knew Steve Jobs, by the way, back when, and Steve was pretty young, and so the reason I write books now, Jason, is that I said, what do these people have in common? They were different. Here are the people who changed. And Silicon Valley, I don't know if you're aware of it, it's going to come down, I think, 25, 30 years from now, as one of the eras, one of the things was almost like Greece was 25 years ago with Socrates and Aristotle, etc. They're going to look back at Silicon Valley, what happened there. And I don't know if you're aware, what happened in Silicon Valley is unbelievable. It wasn't just that I started Chuck E. Cheese there. That's where the first, video game was done. It's the very first, I can just go on and on. The first programmable computer by Steve Jobs. Larry Ellison did Oracle, and just on and on. And so what I did, Jason, I looked back and said, what did these people have in common? Well, Jason, first of all, they had egos bigger than God. They were egomaniacs. They had the charisma of an evangelist almost. They could talk their way in and out of problems. Unbelievable. They had very short attention spans. Attention span of an epileptic. They were like, they had a vision. They were like fortune tellers. And guess what? Did they live on the edge? They had the risk-taking propensity of an astronaut. And they had the passion of a teenager on Viagra, if I can say that. Were they passionate? You got it, baby.
Wow. So what made was it that they were wired this way from birth, or is it because they were in that environment? What have you found to be the catalyst?
Well, guess what? Yeah, I do a whole thing on this, and I read about this. I know you ever want my books or after this thing, email me or call me or whatever. But the question you just asked, that's very good, Jason. That's exactly why. What is it? What made me different? Why is my mother telling me what I was doing was nuts, was crazy? And I'll tell you a quickie. I spoke to the U.S. Capitol with Trent Lott.
Wow.
And I'm going to answer your question here in a minute on what this is about. But And I called my mother. I said, Mom, I'm going to the United States Capitol. She lived in Fort Myers back then. It was 1998. And she's over. And I said, Mom, I'm going to the U.S. Capitol. And my mother, your mothers never get over it. You're always a kid to them. They don't get you, even if you do. And my mother, you know what the answer was on the phone? She said, why? Why? Are you in trouble? Why are you going to the U.S. Capitol? Mom, I'm going to speak to it cracked me up. But anyway, so back to I forget the question now. What was the question?
Well, we're talking about, what's the catalyst? Was it a matter of them being in the environment, or were they
The catalyst is that, first of all, it's I happen to be a very, very big picture kind of guy. I've always been that way. I'm very right brain oriented. And I don't know if you're aware that 88 to 94% of the world are left brain dominant. They call it concrete sequential in psychology. Okay. They see the little stuff and they just walk through life. That's how they do their life and whatever. And the few people, the real geniuses, the big picture people, have a right brain orientation. They see what they call in psychology the gestalt. They see it, the big kids. They're the whiz kids. They're the ones who change the world. And a lot of people, when they see you or talk to you, they think you're nuts. They think you're kind of crazy. Like Debbie Fields, who did the idea of a cookie store, and everybody told her, "Oh, that's a very bad idea." And and it happened to me when I'm not sure where, but I introduced the first handheld calculator with transcendental functions that sold for under $100. And slide rules, back then were, $9, $15. And then I sold the first handheld calculator that sold under $10, $9.95. I did that back, this was 40 years ago. But everybody said, what are you doing? You're nuts. You are crazy. And I have this theory now. Don't listen to experts. And let me tell you that. Here's a quote that if anybody wants to write down, a quote. But an expert. You know what an expert is, Jason? Someone that has such a psychological investment in what is that they never ever can see what might be. They get lost in what is because that's safe. That's sure. That's, and guess what? And because of that, and you never see yourself as successful. I don't know if you're aware of it, but 3 years ago I was at Dallas Stadium and they put me on the 50-yard line and inducted me into the International Entrepreneurship Hall of Fame. And why? I launched 5 firms. I took 3 of them to 100 million revenues in 2 years. Who's done that? I didn't know I was doing it, but I was willing to do what other people wouldn't do. And you have to be willing to do that. You asked me a question that was pretty good before. What is it? Well, you know what I found when I was doing research? Some of the great entrepreneurs and visionaries who changed the world tend to be firstborn. And I did some research. I said, wait a minute. Now, I don't know. What are you, Jason? Are you firstborn, secondborn?
I'm the secondborn.
You're second? Okay, that's... and there's nothing wrong with that. That's fine. But the people who actually change the world tend to be firstborn. And I said, what the hell does that got to do with anything? That's what you would ask. What are you getting? What does that got to do? Because I'm an only child. But the firstborn tend to be willing at the very 3 years old, 4 years old. They're doing stuff on their own. They're learning to go where nobody else is without even knowing it. And then, so I did some research. Are you aware the first 17 astronauts that ever went into space? Some of them were physicists, some of them were engineers. Every single one was firstborn.
That's wild.
I said, what in the world? They were all the very firstborn of the family, and when you're first, you're willing to go do things that a lot of other people wouldn't do. And I found, and then I did a lot of research, and it was really strange. I went back and looked at the first, I think, 60 people that I had ever researched, and they had all kinds of different, people who I'm writing about. But the one thing, every single one of them were the firstborn. I said, wow, that is crazy. Is that nuts or what?
It really is.
Yeah. No, it's and the other thing I found when I was doing when I'm looking at Steve Jobs, I'm looking at Richard Branson, the Virgin guy, and Jeff Bezos, right? Amazon.com, and Michael Dell. One thing they have in common? I called it rushing sickness. Are they in a hurry? Yeah. They're type A's. They have a type A behavior. They're kind of manic. They're go, go, go. And so you need to go, go, go because a lot of people are not go, 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 right?
No, exactly. They usually sit.
Yeah, exactly. They sit and, and it's the thing that they are, they're like that. And I found it really quite interesting. So
I actually have a systemic question for you because
okay.
Many of the folks who I work with, we go over and help them actually develop business systems that allow them to actually run businesses that work net of them. So I guess what would you say you've found as far as, and this could be more general, but again, if it's a particular system, that's interesting. But what would you say are the top 3 systems that any business needs to have in place in order for it to run successfully?
Okay, let me think about that. But let me start with one thing that I have found. Just so you know, I was a math major at Tulane, and when I was young, and you've heard it yourself, Jason. Have you ever heard, and the people listening to you, you can't do it, it's not in the budget?
Yep.
You ever hear the politicians say that? We can't do that, it's not in the budget. Politicians are saying it, they say it. Most people in business are telling you that because why? Because they don't want to rock the boat. And they tell you if it's not budgeted, we're not doing it. And it drove me crazy because I then went to Silicon Valley because everybody was doing budgets. And when I landed in Silicon Valley, I told you I met the icons, the Jobs, and all those people. Do you think they would have ever told anybody you can't do it? It's not in the budget.
No.
Never, ever, ever, ever. You think Steve Jobs would have ever said that? All these guys became billionaires. They wouldn't say that. They don't listen to bean counters. I shouldn't say it like that, I guess. But guess what, Jason? The world's not analog, or it is analog. It's not digital. It's qualitative, not quantitative. So stop getting lost in this quantitative nightmare. It drives me crazy. Look at Zuckerberg. Do you think he's like that? Mark Zuckerberg. He became a billionaire. What? 24 years old? Facebook. And what did he say? Move fast and break things.
Yep.
That's the mission statement of Facebook. I don't think you people knew that. What's that got to do with Facebook? Move fast and break things. That's his mission statement. And guess what? I mean, that's what it's all about. And it's most people aren't willing to go play that game.
So the speed component is there.
Oh yeah, that's right. You wanted to what three things I just told you. The one. What were the 3 things you wanted again?
So the 3 top systems that you would say every business really needs to make sure that it's successful.
Well, I told you earlier, you got to go where the pack is not.
Mm-hmm.
You got to willing to do that. And I just told you, better have rushing sickness. You better go fast, go, and you better have a kind of an intuitive sense that what you're doing. Don't do something. See, a lot of people want to start a business, and they go start a little ice cream parlor that they can do $250,000 a year or something, And guess what? $250,000 a year. How are you going to make $100,000 after your food costs, labor costs, occupancy costs, etc.? You can't do that. So it better be something that a whole bunch of people want. So the third thing is revenue. You need to be able to do a whole bunch of revenues. Okay, you got to go do some pretty good-sized businesses. Okay, so introduce new products into new markets with new innovative uses. by new production distribution strategies, and create a new organizational method that is quite unique. And you got to be able to go do that. And so many people can't do that. They drive me crazy.
Well, one thing, what's really interesting is, like, you know, I know you started these firms, and here's the difference in thinking, or one of the main differences in thinking. I can't imagine you ever sat down and said, okay, I'm going to open Chuck E. Cheese because I'm the one who wants to sit behind the counter and cash in tickets and give out little pieces of plastic prizes.
Oh, no. That had nothing to do with it at all. It's I opened the Chuck E. Cheese thing because I don't know if your people are aware of this, but back then I was working for Atari, who was doing games, Nolan Bushnell, and he learned early. I think he used to say, "You're a quick sketch. You get stuff quick," and I have always been able to do that. And he said, "We've got a problem," and I don't know if you're aware of it. There's an ordinance in every city in the United States has an ordinance, a law on the books that you cannot have more than 2 coin-operated systems. They did this back in the 30s, 40s, 50s, back yonder, and they passed all the laws. And you know what those 2 things were, Jason?
What's that?
You had one cigarette machine, which had a coin operation, and back then you could have a pinball machine, only one. But pinball machines could be hangouts or gun malls, druggies, whatever. So you could only have 2 things. Maybe one pinball machine if you served food or drinks. And then Bushnell said he's got a games company. He said, "Gene, will you try to figure out how we can get around this?" Well, the first thing I did was, I said, and I have this big picture thing, I said, well, wait a minute, Disneyland has hundreds of games. They have hundreds. They don't have, that kind of a law system. And so the first thing I did, Jason, I thought, well, I got to build a mini Disneyland. Ha ha ha! And you know what I did, Jason? It's a true story. I went down and sat at the Bear Country Jamboree in Disney. And I sat there, no, this is a true story. I sat there for a week watching, and I just wanted to see what's going on. And I know there's grandparents and parents and kids. And so they had created something cross-generational that was that the big, older people could tolerate and enjoy, and the parents could, and the kids could. So I said, I got to do this. I got to, and they won't. Nobody will tell me I can't put a bunch of games in, and so I got to do the same thing that Disney pulled off and did, and that's what I did. I said, I'm going to build a mini Disney, and that's what I was trying to do, and I kind of pulled it off. They've changed it a bit these days, so it's a little different, but in any case, that was my strategy. And when you do a strategy, you should have some understanding of where are you going, why are you going, and what's the win at the end of the game.
That's huge.
And you always start at the end, by the way. Start at the end. Never start at the beginning. I tell people this, Jason. Have you ever written? Have you written a book?
I have.
I have. You?
I have.
Okay. Well, I tell people this. They say, well, what do you do? I've written 21 books. I said, write the last paragraph. And they look at me. I said, what? And I said, well, the last paragraph, why? Because that's the end. Not go back to the beginning, and now you know where you're going. And, you know where you're going, so begin, and then are you going to tweak probably where you're going on the way back? Sure. You tweak it on the way back. So do that. In any case.
That's enormous. I have to ask this question. When you were building that concept, how were you able to really go through and build out, the kind of business that actually keeps energy up, and people excited to be there, especially when you're dealing with such a young demographic?
Well, it's you have to make it, In fact, let me answer very candidly. Whatever I told myself, and I told you, I have a very philosophic nature, and I said I want a kid to walk in the front door and look around, and without me saying it, my joint. They look inside, my joint. Can I make noise? Can I run around? Can you do that in a normal restaurant? See, we take kids to a restaurant, and you've done this, children. You take them on Friday night, you're sitting at a white tablecloth restaurant, what are you saying? Shh, be quiet. Sit there. What do you And the kids, without saying anything, will listen. You're the mom and pop and mom and whatever, but they know, and they're saying it's not my joint. It's not mine. And I said I wanted to pull that off, and I think I pulled that off at Chuck E. Cheese.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, for what it's worth, I've got a 5 and a 4-year-old, and even I was downstairs before, letting them know that I had the opportunity to speak with the man who started Chuck E. Cheese, and you would have thought, like, all hell broke loose in my house. Going, my son was convinced that Chucky was upstairs. So
anyway, but yeah, and I think it's somewhat paradoxical. I don't know if you're aware of this. I don't want to get too philosophic here in our discussion, but I use what I call the paradox of creativity in education, and you may want to use this on your children. Are you aware that 20% of high school dropouts are gifted?
No.
1 out of every 5 kids who are gifted drop out. You know why? They're bored. They don't want to hang there. They don't want to, it's why some of look at Michael Dell and Steve Jobs, none of them graduated from college. Why? They want to play that game. They want to go. And I have some data on this. I don't know if you're aware of it. The creativity that you have in your brain at age 5, and you get kids at the right age. Remember this. This is probably the most important thing I'm telling you, Jason, for your family and your kids. At age 5, they got 100% of their creative potential. They got it all. 100%. Whatever it is. Now, some of them might be really creative and some may not be so creative. But whatever they got it all. Are you aware of this? They've done studies. By age 7, okay, 2 years later, you know what they got?
How much?
Half.
Oh.
They lost 50%. How in the hell do you lose half of your creative potential in 2 years? You know why? They walked into a schoolroom and people said, shut up. Be quiet. You can't be like that. Do that. And a regiment. They're putting them into a regiment. Okay? They're putting them into a regimental system. And saying, no, you can't be like that. You can't be that creative. Whatever. And so they stopped letting their brain function openly. And I did a lot of research on this. And guess what? At 16, you know how much they got left? 25%. They lost 75% by the time they're 16 years old when they're getting into high school. And at 40 years old, you know what the average person in the United States has? 1% left.
How much?
You've lost 99% of your creative potential by the time you're 40 years old. Why? You're told, sit there, sit at the desk, draw within the lines, conform, be like the rest of the world. Ha! They're programmed. We've been programmed. And, that's why the billionaires like Gates, Dell, Jobs, Ellison, they all dropped out. Because they didn't want to play that game. They dropped out. Okay?
Wow.
Any case, and in fact, I have a great quote from a guy. He died a few years ago, who I had chatted with, Dr. Paul Torrance. He was an eminent child psychologist. You know what he said? Don't teach children to be creative. Just stop interfering with it. Most children, he said, have knocked out of them by the 4th grade. And he's right. He was right. Anyway.
It's interesting. I've seen this. I ran a martial arts school for a whole lot of years after my corporate career. And I remember talking to maybe some of my 7 to 9 year olds and saying, asking the question, well, can you fly? Well, no, absolutely not. And then asking my 4 to 5 year olds, can you fly? And one was like, I don't know, let's try. So that really breaks it down. I've never heard those statistics though, and that's frightening on every level.
Well, it is, and here's one of the things I do. I tell people, because I do so much lecturing, it's what I call the problem resolution mantra. Go to the beach. And what am I saying? And I don't know if you're near a beach, but I live down here near a beach. And so I was teaching in grad school. I said, eureka a moment, and I have a lot of data on this, occur in the shower or at the beach. Or you've done this probably. Have you ever woken up, Jason, at 3 o'clock in the morning, and you woke up and you say, oh my God, that problem I'm having, this is what I should do.
Absolutely.
And you know why? It's not an accident. It happens in the shower. It happens at the beach. Why? Because you've turned off the left side of your brain. And your right side has free ability to concoct up and transform you and to solve problems. So act like you're at the beach or at 3 a.m. because you're shutting down the left side of the brain. And I tell people here, just go take a walk on the beach. Just go walk, take a walk, and shut off that left side and go ho, ho, ho. And then suddenly, boom. Okay? And like I tell people, hold your planning sessions. Not in the office where people are programmed in structure. Go to the beach or go somewhere else and hold it in some other place where they're not so in such a structured environment. You got to go there, okay?
Wow. Okay, so for everybody reading this or listening to this podcast saying, okay, I got to do my 2015 planning, maybe we'll just charter a plane and head down to Florida.
Come on down to sand, and we'll go out in the sand, and we'll sit there, and if I can tell them one thing, I have a thing I call Dr. Gene Soliloquy, and this is one of the important things I believe, and I don't know how I came up with this, but I must have been out on the beach, and I said it's okay to not know, but it's also okay to not know and not know it. It is not okay to not know and not admit it. And God forbid you don't know, and you don't know you don't, and you don't care. Now, I went through a bunch of stuff there, but I mean, guess what? It's a mind thing, right? It's Dr. Gene Soliloquy. It's okay to not know. It's okay not to know and not know it. God forbid you don't know and you don't care.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's absolutely.
And I do another thing, because I do these philosophical things all the time. You don't know where you're going, anywhere will take you. On a highway to nowhere, but why go? Okay? So go out there and you'll find some new routes to drive you, okay? All right?
This is brilliant. Oh, actually, at this point, it's time for our resource of the week. So, Dr. Gene, tell me this. Where can folks find all of your books, information about your lectures, or really pretty much how you go about helping folks to take it to the next level?
Well, I'm speaking at Think and Grow Rich in, I guess, early March in San Diego. Again, the Think and Grow Rich Napoleon Health Foundation. I was out there a couple of months ago, but they're having me back. So I go there, but my name is Gene Landrum, GeneLandrum. And if you go on to Gene Landrum, .com, you'll see my website. But my email, if you want to email me and ask me a question, it's genelandrum@earthlink.net. genelandrum@earthlink.net. Email me and I'll answer any of your questions and tell you how to, what I call mind modeling. How do you cope with stress? Well, you remove the pessimism from your head. Okay? Stop. Change what you are to get what you're not, right?
Wow.
And you know what? I finish it. Sometimes I make a speech, and I used to tell my class, look, at the end, indulge in a glass of wine. And I'm not telling you to go drink, but hey, when you're mind, you're loose. You get loose. And let your mind drift and let yourself go. And we get too uptight, okay? We just get too uptight. It's not good.
Wow. This is fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. So, okay, so they can actually grab all your books there as well. Perfect. Dr. Gene, I got to tell you, thank you so much for joining me today. I know how busy your schedule is, and it means the world to me that you share some of your experience, some of your wisdom, and your time with us.
No, it's my pleasure, Jason. Thank you very much. I like people who think and trying to help other people who should be thinking better. And I am, if you get to Naples, you give me a jingle, we'll go have lunch, we'll go sit at the beach and watch the dolphins, okay?
I absolutely.
And I appreciate it, and thank you for having me, okay?
Thank you. Folks, that's all the time we've got today. Thanks so much for tuning in to The Real Deal with Jason Silverman. For more information about private coaching or see if you'd benefit from one of our mastermind groups, visit me over at www.jasonmsilverman.com. Until next time, I hope you have a spectacular week. Take care, everyone.
You've been listening to The Real Deal with Jason Silverman. To access the great resources mentioned in the show and for information on coaching and mastermind group opportunities with Jason, please visit jasonmsilverman.com.